So this goes out to all the people who yesterday were tweeting with the hashtag #WeAreCorbyn. Now, I understand perfectly well why you are so disappointed. I understand. But for those of you who may not know what is going on, I'm going to quickly go over that. And for everyone else, this is a message of hope and what essentially we should do next. Because we have no reason, even though Corbyn may get jettisoned from the Labour Party, this is no time to be defeatist about this. And we'll go into that in a minute. But first of all, a quick rundown of what happened. Essentially yesterday, the Commission on Examining Equal Rights Within Different Parties, which is a government-owned body which looks into different groups all throughout the United Kingdom and essentially examines and looks at, essentially has racism happened in a business, examines it, looks what it does, and then essentially has the legal authority to force businesses to change their practices or ways in which they were reporting. Now, obviously, I did a video on that. You can go and watch that. I did it yesterday. You can go and watch it. However, what happened was Jeremy Corbyn came out and he didn't dismiss the report. He accepted the report's findings, but he dismissed the fact that what mainly his political opponents, both within and outside the party, had been saying that anti-Semitism was rife within the Labour Party. And that report has shown that they were wrong. Even though there were cases of anti-Semitism, it was clearly not rife. And indeed, yesterday on my video covering that, we've had people saying that the left were Holocaust deniers and supported terrorists. If you are on the left, and you are someone who is generally on the left and who knows Corbyn's history, then you know full well that is complete and absolute bunk. Jeremy Corbyn is one of the most prominent anti-racism campaigners in this country. That is a well and proven fact. So, and unfortunately, because of those comments, the Parliamentary Labour Party has seen fit to suspend the whip from Jeremy Corbyn and to essentially suspend him until an investigation has been conducted. Now, of course, where does that leave the left? And yesterday, #WeAreCorbyn was trending, and it was heavily encouraging lots of people to leave the Labour Party. My message to you is this. The left in the UK is in such a strong position that we were able to get an out-and-out socialist to be the leader of one of the biggest opposition parties in this country. We were able to do that by able to effect change, first of all, within the Labour Party, and then to get him in. And through that, not only has Labour experienced a massive increase of numbers, but momentum especially has been able to galvanise the youth vote towards Labour and get members engaged more so than ever before. To be at this time advocating for people like that to leave the Labour Party is just absolute nonsense. We can do so much more good for the people of this country by being in the Labour Party than being outside it or even trying to create another party. Trying to create another party in our current first past the post system is absolutely impossible. It will take decades, and I say this with all sincerity, it will take decades for that party to actually have any effect, let alone get an actual MP into Parliament. You've only got to look at the Green Party, who have been round for decades, and they only have one MP. For decades of work and advocacy, they still only have one MP. So trying to create another party is just not worth it. And I advocate this constantly on this channel. What we need to do is we need to push the Labour Party towards advocating for changing our voting system towards proportional representation. And this can be an effective of two ways. Now, I would like both ways to happen, but I think we should definitely be pushing for both ways. The first would be to essentially change our first past the post system in how MPs get elected to reflect pretty much the majority of the rest of Europe, that it's all based on proportional representation and it's basically determined on the number of votes you get. So it doesn't matter if you're a Labour supporter living in a predominantly Conservative held area, your vote and your voice will count. And it doesn't matter, it goes both ways as well. What if you're a Conservative voter who lives predominantly in like a Labour red wall seat? Your voice will count. This will affect the biggest political change our country has ever seen. So this is no time to be leaving the Labour Party. What we need to do now especially is to focus on that. And the other way, by the way, is to essentially do the exact same thing, except we do it for the House of Lords. So we have a first past the post system for Parliament, but we have what we would change, I suppose the House of Lords would definitely change to the People's House, and that would be representative of, a proportional representative system. Either one of those changes would dramatically, and I mean dramatically, change our political landscape overnight. Those are what we need to be pushing for. The next general election, in all honesty, is going to be about two things. The first of all is we are currently witnessing the most hard right-wing Tory party we have ever seen since the days of Margaret Thatcher. Probably arguably even more than Margaret Thatcher. That is going to do huge harm to the working class people across the country. And not just them. There are going to be thousands more people, millions more, who will suffer under this government. And we cannot allow that. And we, as people on the left, have to get in behind and support Keir Starmer. I know you may not like him, but suck it up, Buttercup, because we've got to get behind him. The Labour Party cannot afford to be fractured or in a civil war. Our aim should be to be the complete removal at the next election of the Tory party. And believe it or not, we need those middle of the road voters, those slightly even right middle class voters. We need them to win. And I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And even here's the thing, we can affect change. Tony Blair did bring in some left-wing policies. We did have some very good left-wing wins under Blair. So this whole thing of, Tony Blair did a bad because of the Iran and Iraq war. Yeah, I get it. But we also had some pretty good wins under Tony Blair. They might not have been huge wins, but they were wins nevertheless. And to truly affect change, we have to be in power. And we can affect change by being members of the Labour Party, by promoting left-wing views, by promoting left-wing MPs to get into the positions of being MPs in the Labour Party. And the second thing we need to do is at that next election, we need to make sure that the Labour Party puts forward, for when they win, a referendum for the proportional representation of whatever form that potentially could take. That is the best way that we are going to get our voices heard. Under this current system, we ain't got a chance of trying to create a third party. The only way we can do it is through the Labour Party. And I'm sorry if you don't like that, but that's the truth. If you disagree with me and you have a podcast or you've got your own YouTube channel and you want to have a talk, I am more than happy to talk. This is and needs to be the left's position. The next general election is 4 years away. We need to work on taking out Boris Johnson and this god-awful Tory government. The next thing we need to do is we need to get a referendum to change our voting structure from first past the post to proportional representation, or we need to change the House of Lords into a proportional voted democracy representational system. Either one of those two things will dramatically change the landscape and the political landscape of the United Kingdom. So, with that said, please, please, please do hit that share button, because I think this message needs to get out there to those people. We do not need to lose heart or hope, because we are in an incredibly good position. People in America and people who are leftists in America in the Democratic Party trying to do the same thing as us would love to be in our position. We are probably about 10 years ahead of where they are. So let's not lose all that progress we have made and still continue to forge on. We can do this. We've done it before. Let's learn from our mistakes and move on and do better. That is what we do as leftists. That is what we should do. So please, please do share this video. And if you are new to this channel, welcome. I do talk about British politics a lot, as well as Brexit, because Brexit's going to be with us for some time, and it will cast an incredibly long shadow. If you'd like to support this channel another way, I have a link to my Patreon down below, as well as a one-off donation link. And thank you to the people who do support me that way. Your support is very, very much appreciated. And with that said, please do share this video. I think it is an important message to get out there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time. And please, please, please do not leave the Labour Party. In fact, if you've left it, rejoin it. Please, because there's no reason. We have to move forwards, not backwards. So please take that message forward.